Welcome back for episode number 2 of, drumroll, the Dr. Beau Show. The people have spoken, that's what they want it to be called. I don't know if that's what I would have picked. I really like Anthro Health and all those other weird names that I've come up with in the past, but until somebody else persuades me otherwise by a mass amount of comments or whatever, maybe nobody really cares. That's what it's gonna be. Dr. Beau Show, episode 2, tip off. Grinding teeth is more than just habit. It's not something that just happens for a reason. There's very few things in life that happen for no reason. I think one of them for sure is Donald Trump's hair. I don't know. But why do we brux? Why do we grind our teeth? It's kind of a twofold thing. Usually there's a bite approximation issue, right? We have some jaw misalignment. We have some TMJ issues that we're trying to make up for, some jaw malformation from childhood development. And then we start to brux because we have a lot of mechanoreceptors in our teeth. Imagine how sensitive your teeth are when you bite down on something hot, cold. There's a lot of receptors there. So they're always seeking input. The kind of optimal input is when we have good approximation. That's why they make these bite guards for power athletes that are supposed to increase there are research articles that show that bite guards that create better approximation create, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's a decent amount of percentage of power increase or power output. The other reason why we see that people grind, maybe not brux for approximation issues or trying to create a better bite, is actually a lack of central stability. So we'll see people that lack central stability, or that maybe they've had a neck injury or they've had some sort of whiplash incident. And all of a sudden we're gonna try to protect the things that matter the most, right? Being our head and our brain. So we see people start to lock in like SCM and scalenes, use the masseter, which pound for pound is the strongest muscle in the human body. And then we lock in the jaw, which in essence uses the upper cervical spine to also lock in the cervical spine. So it's kind of like we're spine boarding ourselves. So like I said, there's always a reason, but the first thing we need to talk about is how do we go around this? Like, how do we start working on this from our personal standpoint? I'll remember this from Dr. Brett Winchester's class because it's the only question I missed on a 10-question test. What is the normal resting position of the mouth and the jaw? It's lips together, teeth barely apart, tongue resting on the intersection of the roof of the mouth and the teeth. That's normal resting position. So first of all, if you are a grinder throughout the day, one thing you got to do is get rid of gum. Grinders tend to be gum chewers because it's a good substitution. And then secondarily, you got to catch yourself. So breaking a habit is being aware of that habit first of all. And we want to dial back in. It's just like breathing, being aware of your breathing. We're coming back to that natural resting position, lips together, teeth barely apart, tongue resting on that intersection of teeth and roof of the mouth. Now at night, this is where it gets harder. When we brux at night, we're trying to get into that approximation, maybe positionally, how we're sleeping, we're pushing our jaw into a bad position. That's where night splints, bite guards, things like that can help. Also how you breathe, making sure that I'm not starting going to sleep in a position, mouth open, then all of a sudden my body kind of is aware of like, hey, this isn't great. I go back to a different position to try to brux to close that down. If you're going to use a night guard or a night splint, make sure you work with somebody that really knows what they're doing. There's a lot of people that use orthodontic splints and things like that, dentists, orthodontists that give these out. It's no different than somebody that gives out orthotics. There are people that make really good orthotics and give them to people for the right reasons, and a lot of people that give orthotics to everybody for the wrong reasons just to make money. So make sure you're working with somebody that you trust that knows what they're doing. That's a tip off. Random thought of the day. So throughout the day, I peruse YouTube, I peruse Apple News, obviously social media, and this is where I get a lot of ideas for the stuff. Today, I just pulled up my main screen of YouTube, and the first 2 videos on here are Kelly Starrett and then a chiro, and of course, it's some chiropractor that says tennis player gets loud, pop adjustment, biggest crack of their life, whatever it is. And I watched both of these, right? I don't know who the chiro was previously. Obviously, Kelly Starrett, I think most people are aware of him from the movement realm. But what I want to think about is like the value proposition that's being offered here. Somebody is clickbaiting you with loud pop and, crack and whatever. And then you go into the video and they're trying to be somewhat educational, but it's just low quality. Like it's them literally doing things that I don't think are beneficial for that patient. Not that adjusting isn't beneficial, but getting into their psoas and all this stuff, like so be it. I just don't think it's a good teaching tool for people when it's low level quality education and information with the clickbait to get people in. And the reason I was looking at these, same amount of time these videos have been out, these aren't my videos, so I'm unbiased here. 235,000 views on the Loudest Pop, 2,000 views on Kelly Starrett trying to show some voodoo floss thing for your elbow. Not saying that's the best thing ever in the world either, but for educational value, I would pick that over the loud crack pop video for my patient base, my family, if they had to go watch something to learn. But that's kind of the world we live in, and I struggle with this all the time. I mean, doing these videos, is this entertaining enough?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Enough to then add education behind it. I hope so, but at the same time, if you pick up a book to better yourself, that book is entertaining because it's educational. You don't expect that book to have a ton of comedy and a far-reaching story about some hobbit that goes off to get a ring from a golden dragon. We pick up things to learn sometimes, and then we pick up things to be entertained sometimes. And I've had numerous patients that admit to me, I watch chiropractor videos of people getting adjusted because I like watching them. That's fine, but realize that's entertainment, not education. Quote of the day. The brain is making a choice, but the brain's opinion isn't always right. That was Dr. David Putrino. He's the medical director for Red Bull, and that's from the book Endure by Alex Hutchinson. I'm going to say that again. The brain is making a choice, but the brain's opinion isn't always right. I was listening to a podcast today, Chris Kresser's podcast with Dr. Perlmutter, the neurologist, kind of a functional medicine guy, written a couple books. He has a new book out called Brainwash. I haven't read it yet, but all the stuff's been pretty good. What I wanted to talk about is what they were kind of discussing today, is how when we go to make good changes in our life, good habit formation, trying to get in the gym, trying to eat better, trying to, kick a habit like smoking or drinking excessively, whatever it is, what we got to realize is we live in a society that is completely flipped on its axis of trying to get you to do those things in the first place, but then make you keep doing them repeatedly for capitalist reasons, right? To make money for the most part. So people need to not feel so bad when it's hard to do the things that they know are right? You absolutely can know that you need to do something, and then we wonder why people keep falling off the rails or they never even start in the first place. It's not always just because these, we have researchers now for food companies that are using functional MRI to test how a brain reacts to certain advertising schemes and methods. We have people that are, high-level consultants for pharmaceutical companies and food companies that are literally using neurology and psychology and literally like high-level research to just get us to spend more money. And then we look at the internet, and that's like that to the nth degree. Like data collection, we're going to take your interests and your preferences, hone them down, and make sure that you're surrounded by these things that you don't need but probably want and may not be making you better. So I'm not going to say, hey, don't feel bad, it's okay. No, you still have to be aware of that. It's no different than being aware that you're grinding your teeth. You have to be aware that that's happening. The awareness of that creates a gap. No different than meditating creates a gap between you and the action between you and your thought when things happen to you throughout the day. So that's what I want the homework to be today, is maybe we're living in a bit of a hijacked world where our brain, our subconscious, our psychology is being hijacked or derailed by all the powers that be. And this isn't conspiracy theory talk. This is like advertising that's been going on since like the 50s. The internet's just made it that much more powerful of an engine, and it's a lot of money behind these things. So you better believe this is happening every day, every part of your life. And this video is not propaganda, but we're trying to help you out. So what I want you to do is find some sort of way to create a gap in other parts of your day. And what I mean by that is kind of create some mindfulness. So if you're aware that that's occurring, then you have to stop and think about it. So a good way to make that a part of your daily routine anyways is just create a mindfulness practice. This doesn't have to be sit here and meditate for 15 minutes every morning. I know that would be ideal, and there's studies that show just 8 weeks of meditation can create changes in your brain that mimic lifelong meditation practices. But if you took your drive to work, turn the music off, turn the radio off, turn the podcast off, turn this off, and say, I'm gonna practice some breathing. Now you gotta keep your eyes open. It's not maybe as effective as sitting here, being able to close your eyes, really get in touch with the breath. But just like stop and like be with yourself. Go take a walk without. Another random thought of the day, why do people go walk in the woods with a Bluetooth speaker blaring music when we have every type of headphone imaginable to humans? Like, just turn the music off altogether. Secondarily, I don't want to hear your music, like, at all. There's a reason I'm going to the park in the woods, in nature, not to hear your, Kenny Chesney blaring out of your backpack while you're hiking with your 2 dogs. I love you, but turn your music off. So create some time during your day to create space between thought and action, but then also what's coming at you all day. We're being inundated whether we like it or not. So you have to create that practice of mindfulness and just some space. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have comments or messages, please send them to me. You can comment below. You can send me something at Dr. Beau Beard or at drbeaubeard@gmail.com. Hope you learned something that helps you be better than before. See you guys next time.